Hello there, Alan Biggs with a warm welcome to the Ref Show. Referees everywhere, all of you, come out from behind that sofa. In most weeks this season, we've not known where to start with the bad. We've got the problem in reverse this week, thankfully. We don't know where to start with the good. That's the way round it should be. Keith Hackett with an Easter smile on your face. Brian Dean as well. It's a good moment for youartheref.com. Generally, in the Premier League, good refereeing, Keith.
Yeah, no question. It's taken a long time. And I think it'd be interesting to examine why the sudden change. But I think the real positive side is the appointment process. I think they've, at long last, selected the referees to the games, and the outcome is a positive end result.
And we'll look at who and why in that respect in just a moment. Brian, without wishing to take any of the gloss off, are games following a fortnight's break, an international break, do they maybe not have the intensity of before? And also, maybe is it a good thing that the referees, physically and mentally, have had that break?
Yeah, I think if you look, usually going into the break, there's been a big build-up and a lot of tension, probably similar to the beginning of the season, where it's more about football. And I think the same can be said in this particular case. There hasn't really been that many incidents. I think the referees have had a breather, you know, and come back fresh as well.
Is that your view as well, Keith, that it's been an important break psychologically maybe for some battered referees?
Well, I think there's several things in that mosaic that has probably influenced the outcome of the result that we've seen. The announcement that Howard Webb hopefully is going to take charge, pushing Mike Riley to one side and leaving the administration to him and Howard to get to grips with the refereeing. It may well be that Howard's influenced the appointments. If so, that's positive. But, you know, the reality is the top referees, the referees that are in form, were put out this weekend. Dean led the, if you like, the charge with a simply outstanding performance in what is always a hot derby game. You know, full house, lots of passion. I've been there, I've done it, I've seen the sort of results that can occur. It's almost a life and death type of passion.
This is the North East derby,
Absolutely.
which Sunderland won 1-0.
Yeah.
But also, it's good for everybody if the weekend starts well. And there was a big match, the very first game of the weekend. Couldn't have been too much bigger. Arsenal-Liverpool. Anthony Taylor was in charge of it, and maybe he set a marker as well there with his performance in that one.
The thing that I noticed about Anthony was that he suddenly was putting more energy and effort into his game. He's a fit guy, but I don't think he's used that fitness in the past. And I thought that he drifted occasionally, as he does, towards the right-hand side of the penalty area to watch the ball coming in. But on this occasion, he suddenly realised he needs to do that cross-field sprint, 10-15 metres. He did it, outcome, in a great position to award a penalty kick.
There are so many similarities with players.
I'm going to say, sounds like a centre forward.
Yeah.
It's
directing your energy in the right way. It's as important for officials as it is for players.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think perhaps with experience you become more efficient as well in where you position yourself.
More economic with the
your running.
With the effort. In that game, there were few, if any, queries of the sending off of Chan. I don't think no question marks over that. But Glenn Turner on RefCam raised a whole teamwork question, praised the referee, Anthony Taylor, praised in particular one of the assistant referees, Darren Cann,
yes,
but objectively said that Mark Perry, the other assistant, to quote Glenn, he said, well, there were two offside calls, which I think he got wrong. And he feels that his days in the Premier League should be numbered on that performance, Keith, this particular.
Well, Glenn himself was an absolute ace at running the line. And Darren Cann, of course, was at the World Cup. It's very difficult when you've got an assistant referee who's not performing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, there has to be accountability. If Glenn Turner, our expert, is saying that the guy's days are numbered, I'd go with Glenn.
Okay, well, he's got all the experience and the credentials really to comment, which the likes of you and I, Brian, haven't on that. Let's go on to Lee Probert, because it was a big day for him. His first Premier League game of the season. He's had fitness problems. URTheRef has asked the question, where is he, and called for him to be back. And he handled West Brom 1, QPR 4. What were your thoughts, Keith?
The initial thought is that he's still not fit enough. When you watch a referee, and referees have to now penetrate the penalty area. They have to be around that hot zone where there's potential of simulation, or he's holding, pulling, tugging, whatever. They've got to get there, and they've got to be almost on the penalty area line, and sometimes going into the box. He's stopping at 20 yards, which is, for me, a safety issue with him. He's sort of, how fit am I? Am I going to hold things in reserve? Referee has to go for broke in the game. He has to come off with steam coming out of his backside, knowing that he's done everything possible physically to deliver the performance. I thought it was a relatively easy game for him. He's an experienced referee, and he got through it. Don't get me wrong.
He's got the game out of the way, which is important.
He's got the game out of the way. I think it's great to have him, but 8-9 games away from the end of the season. Is he going to continue next season? Because you can't afford to be paying the money that they're paying.
Yeah.
And then not have a guy performing throughout the season.
Could you have brought somebody through instead? You have
Good
to ask
question. Absolutely. Good point.
Yeah. Great stuff, Brian, hitting the right note there, hitting the target,
Yeah.
not for the first time in your career. Can I talk about a target of a different sort? And this is where Joey Barton got an elbow in the face, almost did it to myself there. And this is the old chestnut, really. Malumbu got sent off. It's a straight red. He's got to use his arms to some extent for leverage. Barton's coming in for the ball. It doesn't look as if Malumbu's looking deliberately to elbow him, but the effect of the force of it is that he does do. What's your thought?
Well, my thoughts have always been the same. When you're going up for a ball, you need your arms as leverage. It's as simple as that. And, Joey's come in. He's, they're clashing, and perhaps Malumbu's got a little bit higher. But you can't always legislate for where your arms are going to end up. And so from my point of view, I think he's been unlucky. I think the other thing that comes into the game nowadays is that if a player does get any kind of contact on their face anywhere like that, they go down and they start holding their face. Now, I'm not saying Joey wasn't hurt.
But
I wasn't saying he wasn't
himself. Has said he didn't think
exactly. So he's gone down, and the effect of that is it's influenced the referee.
Keith, what was your view?
I think that first of all, we look at excessive force because the player's moving, and he was clearly appeared to be leading with his arm.
Yeah.
The detection of the referee to aid that process, the young referees who watch this show, is a player can go up, right, flat hand, he's raising to get elevation with no intention of doing any damage. Once he clenches his fist, then it becomes a weapon. It's whether he's clenched his fist going in. He definitely led with his arm. The referee has to make that judgment.
I would say on that, just coming back to that, it's not like he's gone like that. His arms were actually out like that, and he's moving across into the flight of the ball. So and I'm not here to defend or to say it was good, but I'm just saying what I see, and from a playing perspective, that's how players generally do. I think you can always have a look and see for player intention.
That would always be a debating point, won't it?
The important bit here, Alan, is that here you've got an ex-player of real quality. That's communicating. Communicating how referees can see those incidents. That's why you need more player involvement in the development of referees, even at the elite level. Involve the player, get the player's view, and that might then improve the lot for the referee.
Great, perfectly demonstrated. Sunderland 1, Newcastle 0. This was Mike Dean. You've already referred to this great North East Derby performance. Rob Harris on our ref cam said it was a masterclass in tempo management. Now, we have to have tempo management here, so the people behind the glass and looking beyond them there are going to count me in to the end of the programme and give me a counter so that I know how long we've got for the last 5 games. But what is tempo management in terms of a referee's performance? What is that? What does that mean?
It's about the controlling elements of the referee, judging when to come in and when not. This is a top derby game. He knows there's going to be that greater level of intensity in the challenge, the passion, and he's then got to manage that with the talk, with the off the cuff word, and therefore tempo is about coming in appropriately and being able to withdraw and let the players express themselves, and he did that superbly. Top class performance from Mike Dean.
Well, let's go on to Swansea and Hull. This was Andre Marriner, and I know that you spoke in glowing terms, Keith, about Andre. The sending off of David Myler was, well spotted, and I think you're saying correct. And you also highlighted over the weekend Dave Bryan, one of the assistant referees in that game.
That was terrific because the player was in an offside position. He hadn't committed an offence.
This is the first Swansea goal in the 3-1.
He came back onside, and it was a terrific judgment. And Dave Bryan, a very experienced assistant referee, bang in line, made the decision.
He delayed the flag.
Absolutely, and the goal's allowed correctly. And often the assistant referees and the quality of how they produce the offside decision or non-offside decisions is a real plus point, and Dave has been an outstanding assistant for many, many years.
Before the end of the show as well, we're going to talk right at the end about some of the classic goals that were scored over the weekend. Let's not forget, the refereeing was good, some of the goals were great, but before then, Manchester United and Villa, 3-1 wins to United. Roger East, great goal from Rooney in that one, but just one point there.
Well, I think that Roger just needs to analyse his movement profile in the game. He's getting drawn towards his assistant referee. That's fine. He's watching that development and putting himself in close proximity to play. Where I think he's running a risk is not doing that horizontal run with the penalty area to get back, to watch the challenge from the back of the box.
So he misses a penalty.
Well, he's potential to miss a penalty, but he's also going to miss the player running onto him, and there's a risk that he misses quite a lot. So this positioning is, I think, where he just needs to think carefully about his decision.
Well, Rooney was manhandled in that game.
Oh, it's a penalty.
Shouldn't it, in the first half, really? Jonathan Moss, I've got no queries whatsoever. Chelsea 2, Stoke 1, so I think a well done to John.
Well, we've been critical of him. It's good that he's got a game under his belt where he's getting a bit of praise.
Likewise, Martin Atkinson, who's been steady lately after a sticky start to the season. This was Burnley and Spurs. Andy Martin praised him on RefCam. Poor game, though, Brian, that one. Desperately poor.
He was probably asleep as well.
It was.
Yeah. Everton 1, Southampton 0. That was Lee Mason. I've got nothing written down against that either.
No, I think he performed well. Maybe he's had a wake-up call. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys must understand that on an annual contract, it might be 1 year rolling. Somebody's got to sit down with a pen. And given the season that we've had, let's not let one weekend cloud the issue. There's some referees in that group that have to go. We've seen, it's interesting, isn't it? Those referees that we've really criticised, we're saying Foy's not fit enough, Dow's not fit enough, Mike Jones is not good enough. Right,
earning good money.
They weren't out this weekend.
No, good point, well made. And I've left right until the end Mark Clattenburg, because it goes without saying that his handling of Leicester 2, West Ham 1 was beyond any question at all. I promised a chat from a refereeing perspective and also playing about some of these goals. Charlie Adam from 10 yards inside his own half. Blimey, where does that register, Brian, for you in terms of all-time great goals?
I think if you look at the goals that have been scored from distance, it's probably right up there. Bearing in mind you've got the Courtois in goal. And he's lobbed him. Who's
quite deliberately.
And exactly, and he's 6'7", so that's right up there for me.
And the Zamora one for QPR. What technique with the outside of his foot! There was no way that you could expect that, Keith. The shot. It was going to be. I thought he had to play.
Well, I thought he was going to stop and come inside, and just to do that, it's about confidence, isn't it? And the great thing about this weekend, isn't it, ultimately, is that we're talking about players, we're talking about teams, and not referees.
Isn't that wonderful?
Doesn't that make a difference for us at this?
It's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
I think, on a personal note, the Zamora goal, if I was playing, that's the one I would have wanted to score. The Rooney goal's a good goal. The other goals, perhaps you'd look at midfield players. That's a centre forwards goal for me.
You have scored a similar goal, albeit from a wider angle, to the Charlie Adam one.
Yeah.
That was against Liverpool when Grobbelaar went walkabout. You're on the touchline and chipped it in from an impossible position. So that's interesting. You'd have liked to have scored the Zamora goal. Wouldn't we all? We'd have loved to have scored that, Keith, as well.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for your company. Don't forget to contact us if you have any queries or points on youaretheref.com. See you next week. Bye.